Have you ever heard someone speak English so naturally, so effortlessly that you thought, how did they make it sound that natural? Well, today I'm going to reveal 25 advanced phrases that C1 and C2 speakers use all the time, but most English learners never learn. And if you stay until the end, you can download a free PDF with all 25 phrases, synonyms, and examples. But before we start, give this video a thumbs up because it genuinely helps the channel. Now, let's dive straight into these 25 advanced expressions. Phrase number 1 is to be on the verge of something. This means to be extremely close to doing something or for something to happen. It suggests the action is about to happen and only a tiny step away. Some synonyms are about to, on the point of, moments away from. For example, I was on the verge of cancelling the meeting when you called, meaning I was seconds away from cancelling the meeting. Or she's on the verge of tears, meaning she's almost crying. A third example is the team was on the verge of winning the championship before the final mistake. Phrase number 2 is to take something for granted. Now this means to assume that something will always be available or someone will always do something for you without appreciating it. Some synonyms include to undervalue, to overlook, or to assume. For example, don't take your friends for granted because they won't always be there. Or he took his health for granted and now he regrets it. I've realized I've been taking my free time for granted lately. Phrase number 3 is to be snowed under, which means to have so much work, responsibility, or pressure that it feels overwhelming, like being buried in snow. Some synonyms are overwhelmed, swamped, overloaded. For example, I'm completely snowed under with deadlines this week. She was snowed under last month and barely slept. Or will be snowed under during exam season. Phrase number 4 is to play it by ear, meaning to decide what to do as a situation develops instead of planning everything in advance. Some synonyms include to improvise or more informally to go with the flow. For example, let's play it by ear and see what we feel like doing later. Also, we played it by ear yesterday and we still ended up having a great day, meaning there was no fixed plan. Or I usually play it by ear when traveling because it keeps things flexible. Phrase number 5 is to be in two minds, meaning to feel stuck between two choices and unable to decide. You're mentally pulled in two directions. Some synonyms are to be unsure, undecided, or conflicted. For example, I'm in two minds about applying for the job. Or she was in two minds yesterday, but she made her decision this morning. Also, we've been in two minds for weeks now about moving house. Phrase number 5, and I really like this one, is to go the extra mile. This means to make more effort than expected or required, especially when no one asks you to do extra work. Some synonyms are to exceed expectations, to work exceptionally hard. For example, my tutor always goes the extra mile to help us understand. Or they really went the extra mile to organize the event. Or she's planning to go the extra mile in her exam preparation this month. Phrase number 7 is to pull something off. Now, this phrasal verb means to succeed in doing something difficult, surprising, or impressive, like to accomplish, to succeed, or to manage. For example, I can't believe you pulled it off. That presentation was brilliant. Or she pulled it off despite everyone doubting her. We're hoping to pull it off again in the next competition. Phrasal verb number 8 is to keep someone in the loop, which means to keep someone informed and updated about a situation, especially ongoing decisions or developments. Some synonyms are to update, to notify, or to inform. For example, please keep me in the loop about any schedule changes. Or they kept us in the loop throughout the whole process. And last but not least, I'll keep you in the loop once I get more information. Everyone in my email newsletter is always in the loop about what's going on at English with Issy. Expression, and in this case, phrasal verb number 9 is to brush up on, which means to revise or refresh knowledge about a topic or a skill that you haven't practiced in a while. And some synonyms are to revise, to refresh, or to review. For example, she needs to brush up on her phrasal verbs before the exam. Or she brushed up on her French before traveling. I'll brush up on my Spanish grammar tonight. Now, before we continue, just a quick heads up, my Black Friday sale launches this week on Sunday, and if you're studying for the B2 first or the C1 advanced exam, this is the moment to get prepared properly. It's the biggest sale I have ever run. Some resources will be 60% off, but just for 5 days. There's also a full catalog so you can pick exactly what you need for your level, so keep an eye out because it's going to be huge. Expression number 10 is to fall short, which means to not be as good as expected or required, to not quite reach a goal. Some synonyms are to underperform, to fail to meet, or to be insufficient. For example, his essay fell short of the requirements, or my results fell short last month, so I'm studying harder now. Don't fall short on your exam preparation because consistency matters. Phrasal verb number 11 is to make the most of, which means to use or enjoy something fully, especially when you have limited time or resources. Other meanings are to maximize, to take full advantage of. For example, let's make the most of the sunshine and go outside. Or she made the most of her time abroad by traveling every weekend. I'm trying to make the most of every study session. Expression number 12 is to call it a day. This means to stop working or to stop doing something, usually because you're tired or because you've done enough. So some synonyms are to stop, to wrap up, or to finish for now. For example, I'm exhausted. Let's call it a day. Or we called it a day early yesterday because we were all tired. I'll call it a day after completing this chapter. Expression number 13 is to be few and far between. Now this means to be very rare, difficult to find, or not happening often. Some similar words are scarce, uncommon, or limited. For example, good opportunities are few and far between these days. Or my holidays are few and far between. Discounts in this shop are few and far between. Expression number 14 is to be at a loss, meaning to be completely unsure about what to say or what to do, often because something is confusing or unexpected. So some synonyms are uncertain, confused, or puzzled. For example, I'm at a loss for words. That result surprised me. Or he was at a loss during the interview and didn't know what to answer. Thirdly, we're at a loss about how to solve this problem. Expression number 15 is to cost an arm and a leg, which is to be extremely expensive and often more expensive than seems reasonable. In other words, it's pricey, it's costly, maybe even overpriced. That designer coat costs an arm and a leg. Our holiday cost us an arm and a leg last year. This phone is costing me an arm and a leg right now. Expression 16 is to come to terms with, which means to gradually accept a difficult reality or a situation emotionally, even if you don't like it. Now, some synonyms include to accept, to process, or even to face. She is trying to come to terms with the news. Or they came to terms with the situation eventually. I'll need some time to come to terms with the decision. Expression number 17 is to turn a blind eye, which means to deliberately ignore something you know is wrong or problematic. Now, some synonyms are to ignore on purpose or to pretend not to see something. For example, the manager turned a blind eye to several complaints. Or they used to turn a blind eye to students arriving late, but not anymore. Don't turn a blind eye to your grammar mistakes, work on them. Expression 18 is to speak volumes, which means to reveal a lot about a situation or a person without needing words, to communicate indirectly. Some synonyms include to reveal, to indicate, or to show clearly. For example, his silence speaks volumes, meaning he doesn't need to say anything because his silence reveals everything. Or her reaction spoke volumes yesterday. We understood how she was feeling from her reaction. Your progress will speak volumes in the exam. Number 19 is to shed light on, which is to make a situation clearer by explaining or revealing more information, or to clarify, explain, to illuminate. Some examples are, this report will shed light on the causes of the problem. The video shed light on several misconceptions. Or hopefully, the results will shed light on what's been happening. Expression number 20 is to take something with a pinch of salt, which means to view something with skepticism or to not fully believe everything that someone says. Some synonyms are to doubt, to question, or to be skeptical of. For example, take those rumors with a pinch of salt because they might not be true. Or I took his advice with a pinch of salt, meaning I listened, but I didn't believe it 100%. You should take online reviews with a pinch of salt because some are exaggerated. Expression 21 is to go hand in hand, which means two things naturally happen together or are closely connected. In other words, they're linked, intertwined, or associated. For example, vocabulary and fluency go hand in hand, or their success went hand in hand with strong teamwork. Hard work goes hand in hand with improvement. Expression 22 is to be a far cry from, which is to be completely different from something else, usually in a disappointing or an unexpected way. Some synonyms are nothing like or very different from. For example, his new job is a far cry from what he expected, or the final product was a far cry from the original plan. This weather is a far cry from what the forecast promised. Number 23 is to rule something out, meaning to eliminate something as a possibility, often after considering it. Or to exclude, to dismiss, to reject something. For example, I'm not ruling out taking the exam earlier. The doctors ruled out a more serious condition. We can't rule out the chance of a second attempt. It might happen. Expression 24 is to draw the line at, which means to set a limit on what you consider acceptable or reasonable. Some synonyms are to set boundaries, to refuse, or to stop. For example, I draw the line at working on Sundays. She drew the line at lending him more money. That was her boundary. As a teacher, I draw the line at marking work after 8 p.m. Last but not least, to hit the nail on the head means to describe a situation or a problem exactly and accurately, to be precise, to be spot on, to be accurate. For example, you hit the nail on the head with that explanation. It was perfect. Or the teacher hit the nail on the head when she said we needed more structure in our essays. I think I hit the nail on the head in my essay this time. Today you learned 25 advanced C1/C2 phrases with meanings, synonyms, and examples. And if you want to revise them easily, download your free PDF in the description below. Plus, if you found this video useful, give it a thumbs up, subscribe for more C1 exam boosting videos, and comment part 2 if you want another vocabulary list. And that's all for today. Oh, one last thing. On Sunday the 23rd of November, my massive Black Friday sale goes live. Up to 60% off all my exam preparation resources. I know, it's crazy. It's only for 5 days and the catalogue is already up if you want to window shop a bit. I'll see you there.